Welcome back to Wicked Heart. It's Wicked here, and it is time for part two of our Aquaman as a Celtic warrior. Some things that start here. You can see I have like the tattoos, and I chose instead of the old kind of greenish black looking tattoos because we're doing a Celtic warrior. I'm going for more of the blues they used to wear. Some things to know is basically what I did was I brought in my image that I drew and just kind of traced over it. So I broke down everything for you. So we save some time. But if you want to, you can just take a screenshot of this. Oops, let me back out some. Okay, and then you can bring that in and just trace over that. If you've already done your drawing with me in the last video, you can still do the screenshot if you want, or just import your picture and trace. But what I did was, once you've taken a screenshot, you can take a screenshot of this as well too. I just colored everything. Instead of tracing it in black, I chose that blue. If you want to know what that color is, it is 53, 137, and 156 respectively. As well as I separated the plaid lines. You can take a picture of that if you want to. Just because I wanted to be able to maybe possibly take those out so that the black lines aren't in there. It's up to you. You can leave the black lines if you want to. Something else that you can do is you can take a picture of the rocks and then just trace over that. Okay, and then you can take a picture of the water splashing and just kind of trace over that. And then once you put everything in there, it'll look like this. Everything's separate. And then as far as the Aquaman logo goes, I literally just went online and just found an Aquaman logo to stick in there. So you can do the same thing. You don't have to use the same one I did. But we're going to go through this and do this step by step so you can learn to do it. As you can see, I have those two layers above that. So I'm going to add a new layer in here, and we're going to call that color because I want those to be underneath the plaid line and the tattoo colors. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this line layer, and then I'm going to use my magic wand tool. I'm going to select my screen. You can see it'll outline him. I don't have any gaps in between, so I don't have anything to worry about. So I'm just going to hit select. I'm going to hit inverse, come back down to my color layer and hit mask. That way I won't go outside of the mask while I'm coloring. Okay, so we're going to use I'm going to use a skin color here from a previous comic book that I'm working on, just to make it a little bit simpler. And then what I'll do is we're going to adjust for a little bit of a darker skin tone, so that, let's see what that looks like before we decide. So yeah, we'll go maybe a hair darker, like that, and that color is 153, 132, and 111. Right? So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to fill that in, and you can see because of the way that I did that, it just goes behind the color without interrupting it. So we'll just go in and paint that. Now, I know a lot of times people like to just fill it in all gray and then chop it up into other little pieces, and you can, but again, for the purposes of time, I'm not going to do that with these. We're just going to kind of do a couple separate layers and complete it that way. Okay. So let's just paint that in, and now I can see that I need to really quickly go to my tattoo color, hold Alt, pick that, and I can just fill in that piece right there. Come back, hold Alt, and get my color picker again, and we can finish coloring this in. Okay, So I like to paint. I'm sure that people will sit there and select and go around and just paint bucket fill, but I don't like that it doesn't completely solidly fill it all the time. And I personally don't mind the process of filling in the colors myself by hand. Just because I think it just gives me a feeling like I'm painting it, not rushing through, not really on a deadline, but still trying to manage time a little bit. And we'll just paint the skin tone in. We don't have a lot other than just, the chest, the arms, and then just the face. And you'll see the reason why we do the separate layers is because that way it doesn't show through, and we can work on things separately without messing it up too badly. So I'm gonna finish filling in this shoulder. And you work at your own speed. So if you're ahead of me and you just want to skip forward a little bit, that's fine. Again, it's just an educational video. You just learn my method of doing things. You don't have to do them this way, but just something you can put into your repertoire bag of possible ways to do stuff. So again, it's just me completely doing things my way, and that is a piece of his hair, so I don't want to color that in. And you can adjust your brush sizes with the bracket keys. Alright, and then we got a little space right there and right here. Okay, I'm going to move up into the face. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and color the teeth in so that I can make them white. So what I can do is just switch to white really quick and come back and put in the teeth. And we can always adjust these colors later. So if I'm done with this whole thing and I look at the skin tone and go, it might be a little bit too dark, or it's not the right color. Again, we're doing kind of the Jason Momoa version, and he does have a darker skin tone, so we're kind of doing like a mocha color almost. And we'll just continue to fill that in. Some of these smaller areas we'll go ahead and take care of, like the eyes, and then we'll do the hair, and just start working our way down the rest of the body. Alright, so we fill that in, and we get this ear over here. Okay, now for eye color, Aquaman has those kind of almost icy blue colors. So that color is about 111, 171, and 214. And I'm just going to color those in. Okay, I can switch back to white. And just get the whites of the eyes, and I kind of went over a little bit, so I'm going to kind of color that in. Okay, now his hair is kind of a dark brown color, so we're going to do this, and we'll see what that looks like. Maybe a little bit darker. Go a touch more, see what that looks like. Okay, so we'll use that for now. And that's 57, 49, and 38. Go ahead and just color in all of the hair. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just getting all these color flats in. And then after that, we'll do our shading. But we'll probably do the other color flats first on everything else. And I may change my mind and just go to black for the hair. We don't know just yet, so I'm going to let that go. I'm going to pick kind of this pinkish color here for the gums. 164, 140, 129. Color those in there. And just keep going around this beard. Just trying to be a little careful so I don't go inside the face, and that's why a lot of people like to section things off first so you don't make that mistake. But I don't think it takes that long to just simply hold Alt and click and fix something. Now when you start getting into the final product, that might help if you're just trying to change a color on like the hair. You want to put some kind of effect, but we're not going to go super duper fancy with that. So and if I'm wrong about the hair, you can just let me know. It might be black. So whatever my finished product is today, if you want to let me know that I got the hair wrong, it's fine. You can feel free to do so. Alright, almost done. Get that colored in. And excuse me on the cough. And again, I apologize for the sound quality on my voice on this. For some reason, my good headset does not work when I'm doing a screen recording, so I have to use my old headset, which sounds kind of echoey, and I do apologize. Let's do, I want to change that a little bit. Let's go back. I'm going to change the gums more to this color, so we're going to do 132, 80, and 81. And I'm going to hit up this little spot I kind of went outside on. Okay? So again, you can see we're starting to get those flats in there. Let's look at leather straps. So we're going to kind of come down into the reds a little bit. And that's going to be 71, 52, and 43. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I think we'll keep that. Sorry, I'm just getting some of these spots I missed a little bit. And we'll get this strap in over here. And then partial of this. So like, technically what I should have in here, if I change lines and go back to black, and go to color again, this part is a little bit of a flap. The rest is just the fur. Okay, and we're going to do kind of a stone color for this. Actually, you know what? Let's try to go for like almost a gold. Or, better yet, we could do the gold and have the rest be like a stone color. And we'll go a little bit more lighter gray. So that's going to be, let's make sure it didn't click off. Let's switch that up into kind of a blue. So 131, 138, and 141. So we'll go back over that. Oh wait, it's more of a stone color. Okay. So, not 100% yet on what I want to do with the fur. So let's come down here to the gloves with that same color we use for the straps. I'm trying not to go super colorful because again we're just kind of doing like a Celtic warrior, so kind of, you know, the things that were available to them. So there's going to be a lot of browns and tannish looking stuff as far as the leather straps go. Okay, so continue to fill that in. Now one more area, and then we can do the strap on the sword the same way. Okay, so this area down by the hand, and that's what I forgot to do. I knew it. I knew I was forgetting something. So I forgot to do the skin color on the hand. So that's completely my bad. So let's go ahead and take care of that as well. So just fill in the skin. So I forgot I also have that spot down by the leg. Fill that in. Also want to get this little spot right down there with that leather stripe color. Alright, and we're going to get this spot right down here for the leg. Okay, so now for this, we're going to switch back to that. I'm going to come up in here to the low orange yellow. I'm going to kind of shoot for a tan-ish color. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so we're doing 109, 92, and 72 for your RGB. So we'll just fill that in. Now, where we can save some time, is when we start doing the background stuff. I know I did like full drawings, but we're not really going to see all of it because it's behind him. So we can kind of keep this up and just color in the areas that we can visibly see, which will make life a lot simpler. You know what? That looks kind of weird without anything on it. So let's come in here and make a little shape. Make sure you come back to your color layer. And this premise still works the same. Let's say you're not using Photoshop, you're using Clip Studio Paint or Sketchbook. They're pretty much the same. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff in Clip Studio that you can do that you can't do in Photoshop and vice versa. So any features that I don't have that you might have, you might be able to add a little bit more into your image. As far as the basics of what I'm doing, they're pretty much universal and the same across the board. So let's come in here and get like a darker stone color. See what that looks like. We go a little lighter. Yeah, we'll go with that. And that's going to be 104, 104, and 104. 104 is across the board. Alright, so I'm just going to finish coloring those stones. Okay. Zoom out, see what we got. Not too bad. Let's do... Just fill in some of these spots that I missed. Let's do kind of a red. Let's see what that looks like on the fingernails. I want to have a little bit of flesh in there. So that's going to be 198, 182, and 182. Our main focus isn't going to be on the nails anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal. But like if we come out, we can see the nails. Let's go for more of a flesh tone, maybe. Yeah, we'll use that. 182, 166, and 151. Alright, let's get that belt color. I'll come over here for more of that kind of a brown. Let's kind of trickle down into the red a little bit. See what that looks like. And that's a 98, 57, 27. Another reason to kind of go with these colors is it's going to contrast a lot better against, you know, the background of like the blue from the water splashing up. Just not sure if I want to do brown fur or white fur. But we'll see when we get to it. As far as the kilt goes, we're gonna go with, let's do, for right now, oops, let's do a base color. Well, I mean, he is Aquaman. So let's go for like a dark blue base color, see what that looks like. I'll look up some kilts real quick. Let's see what kind of colors we can come up with that aren't too crazy. Or we can kind of keep the same brown in there. Yeah, so let's go with more of a brown again. Let's color that all in. So that's 94, 77, and 56. And we'll color that in. Let's sorry, I'm just trying to make sure that I don't get inside the other colors. Okay, and then we can kind of go for like a brown green in here. We'll see what that looks like. Let's kind of, if you can see, I'm skipping a space because I want to do a lighter color version of that. Just because usually it'll show a better separation in the plaid. So same thing down here. This is going to be a different color up here, so I want to actually skip a space right here. So go ahead and zoom in just so we don't have to come back and fix those little misses later. Alright, so we'll continue over here. Like I said, once we get these flats in here, the shading's pretty easy because I just use a basic, what you call it? I'm having a brain fart right now. A cell shading. So all our colors will kind of help blend whatever shadow we choose right in there. Okay, that big gap there, and we won't see it down there at the bottom. Okay, and now another color you can use would be kind of a like a brown red maybe. See what that looks like. Yeah, we can go with that. Actually, this should not be colored in. Not sure why I did that. So that color is 117, 64, and 44. Again, you can use those if you want to, or you can just do your own colors. It's completely up to you. Okay, so we'll just fill those in. So what you can see how that's now giving us that plaid look. Like I said, this section here is going to be kind of like a lighter version of all these colors. Just when I see plaid things, usually it's kind of got that fade to it, so that's what we're going to use. And like I said, these color choices could turn out to be bad, but the nice thing is they can easily be modified if I so choose. I'm really trying to make him contrast against the water, so I'm choosing colors that will make him pop a little bit more from that. Okay, and down here. Okay, so now this is what I was talking about with the lighter version of those colors. So I'm going to keep that, right, and I'm going to kind of come up here where it's faded. Alright, so I can come in here, do the same thing. And I'll give you those colors here in a minute if you're sticking by my colors. And we'll put the green, oops, go lighter. Okay, so you can see how it has that fade on there, right? So this is for the orangey red, 159, 179, and then for the brown, 128, 109, and 86, and then for the color, 117, 134, and 99. Now, when you get that done, then you can just, you don't have to keep typing that in. You can just use your color picker and come back and get these colors uh, and work those in. And then you just work your way through. Uh, this little kind of checkered plaid pattern is it's tedious, but again, in the grand scheme of things, when we do shadow and light and stuff, we don't even have to touch it again. So once it's in, the basic flats for everything, the hard part's pretty much done. The rest, like I said, is just adding in shadow and light. Okay, get a little bit there. And get this last piece. Alright, now I'm going to do the brown. And we just go through and do the same process again. Like I said, there are 100 billion ways that people suggest that you do things. I'm not suggesting that my way is the right way. I am just showing you the way that I do things. So you can choose your way that's best and easiest for you on how you want to make things look cool, detail, and stuff like that. But um, it's just kind of how my style developed. I'm still always working on new styles. Um, just because I don't think I've really found that one that I'm like uh, in love with. And I don't know why I colored that in that way up there, but we'll have to fix that. Um, but I think I'm getting closer, um, at least for the my graphic novel, Chronicles of Andromeda. I'm still kind of looking for that look for that, and it causes me to have to kind of go in and rechange things because the consistency's off, and that's the most important part to me anyway, is having that consistency so that you know what to expect in the artwork. Okay, I'm gonna switch to this. Well, let's get this orange in here, and we'll switch to that green. So yeah, it's just one of those things. It's always developing as an artist, and you know, everybody's got different styles. I'm sure there's tons of people who don't like my style. They might like something super detailed like David Finch or Mark Silvestri. I like more of the East meets West kind of style, maybe more along the lines of Humberto Ramos or Joe Mad. But again, those are or Ludo Lullaby. Uh, those are more of my taste and my preference, but that doesn't mean that other artists still aren't great artists in their own right. and they have the big following that they do. It's just that probably appeals more to the masses taste of what they like to see, and then that's how you end up getting your start. Okay, so that takes care of the plaid. Let's come in here and work the sword. I'm gonna do a semi-white wrap. Let's come to this leather. Let's see what we can get out of this. Like that. So that color is going to be 106, 81, and 69. And we're going to get kind of a brass looking color for the sword. I'm going to kind of drift down a little bit more. And then I'm going to put a blue gem on top, and we'll do the blue gem down here. And let's do a basic silver handle. Maybe not. Maybe we should switch that up. Let's do... Yeah, we can switch that up. Let's do one along the lines of a gold handle. So that color is 201, 65, and 33. Just color that in. And we'll do the same on the stone. Alright, so let's... So I think it'll just make it easier to tell the difference. So we're going to do the whole thing, the inside plating gold, and then we'll do the sword itself will have the usual blade color, kind of like a silvery metal. Alright, so let's switch to blue, get that kind of gray. Bit darker. See what that looks like. So I'm going to call that 147 across the board. And we're going to go really light for the edge of the blade. That. See what that looks like. Okay, and then we just got to do this first. So let's try some things out. We're going to go kind of a light brown. Let's see what that looks like. Just going to see what it looks like first. And then I'll give you the color for it, because I don't want to give you the color and then I decide not to use it. So once I get it filled in, it'll be easier for me to just kind of paint bucket fill it if I want to change it. like I said, this could be a bunch of fur from just smaller animals. Um, I think at one point there may have been bears. I'm not 100% on that. I'd have to look that up. Either way, I did forget this is a part of the leather strap. Holds it on the shoulder. Like I said, once I get that filled in, I can just paint bucket fill unless I mess something up, and then it's just going to color the whole thing. But pretty sure it should work. Sometimes my computer does weird stuff, and it will mistakenly, when I pick a brown, it'll still fill in a blue. I'm not really sure why it does that sometimes, but my computer is old. It's almost 10 years old, so let's see what it looks like. So we have that. Let's go for like a wolf gray. Yeah, see how it does that with the skin. Um, think I think we might go with that though. So let's just color that in and see. So it's all trial and error. Let's see what that looks like. That's that. We'll leave it like this for now. So that color is 180 across the board. I'm going to go ahead and fill in this part, see what it does. Yeah, it still fills it in. So the computer's weird sometimes. I mean, I know the colors are close, but they're not the same, so it shouldn't do that. It should be able to pick up on the fact that it's not the same thing. But it's weird that way. Get used to it. And this is another reason, like I said, I just end up painting stuff in. That way I don't have to deal with doing that and fixing it every 5 seconds. Alright. Okay. Almost done with the color flats on the body. We'll move on to the background. Okay, so that's done. I can come down here to my rocks layer and turn that on, because see, now I can see behind it. I'm going to come underneath it, add a new layer. We're going to call that color. And if you've lined it up right, where it's touching the edge, you can just take your color picker, of course on the rocks layer, not on the color layer. Okay, I'm going to hit select inverse, and again, just add a mask. Now, this one's going to be a little bit easier because it's all just going to be one tone. Alright, so we're going to go for a very light tannish color and see what that looks like. So just let me color that in real quick. Okay, so that might be a little bit too bright. Let's come back towards the gray side. Okay, a little bit darker. Like I said, we'll find our color. And I think that's it. So that color tone is 147, 143, 135. Okay. And then with that done, then I can pull up the water and you can see because we colored that in, it doesn't blend in as much. And this is going to be the tricky part, is seeing whether or not our water layer is completely closed everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to select in here. I don't see any major mess ups so far. Get this side. And looks like we got something is broken. So let's see, let's turn off all of this. Let's see what's broken. I'll switch to black. So things that are not touching is what's considered broken. So like, see how that's not all the way up against the edge? That can be a problem. Everything up here seems to be okay. So it's whatever's down here is broken. And that might have been our culprit. So let's see here. But that's not letting me. Huh. No, it's not letting me fix it because it's still selecting. Alright, let's try that again. Let's go up on that side. This side's good. That side's good. There. I'll get some of these holes in the water. Okay, so something's broken in here, and it's right there. Ugh. It's the part that can be a little frustrating. So always just, if you don't want to go through this hassle, make sure you check everything that's connected. Because it can be a pain in the rear. Make sure, close that off too. Sometimes I get a little too loose with things and I don't notice that I'm making those mistakes. So let's try one more time. So we got that, and that. Get some of these circles in here. Right here and here. Get that inside edge. Okay, those look good. Get that. And pick those. And that. Okay, that should be good enough. I'm going to hit select and inverse. And I'm going to add a color layer for that. And hit mask. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull everything back up. And I'm going to be on that color layer. So let's go for a watercolor. Let's see how we do. Just going to fill it all in. Okay. So at least shows us where the water is splashing up at. Let's switch to soft round. I'm going to go white. can see by using a soft round brush, I can get kind of a faded effect going on. I can always switch back if I want to bring it back some. Okay, and then we can go ahead and add a new layer. I'm going to switch this to a gradient tool, and we're going to give ourselves a sky. So let's try this one. Just kind of angle it that way. Okay, and add one more layer, and we'll call that clouds. Now, for this part, you can honestly go online and download these Kyle's brush pack things, and he's got some cloud stuff in there. It's on the Adobe site. I'm sure they have free stuff for whatever program you're using. Let's go pure white. So you don't really care for those clouds, so we can always try a different one. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And you can kind of just pattern those however you want. Now, another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. We're going to try something. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's do another gradient. Okay, kind of do this part more like towards the sunlight. Like that. Alright, let's so we're just trying something. If we tone down, come back to this, go white and pick our soft round, and bring that back down some. That. Okay, and maybe we can try like a sunset. So let's try sunset color. I have to reverse that way. That way that stands out just a little bit more. Now, if we come back to this layer here, we add a new one. We're going to call that shadows, and we're going to turn that down to 60 right now, just for right now. I'm going to hold Command or Control on PC, and I'm going to click on my mask and see it'll re-highlight that for me. I can just hit mask on my shadows layer, go to my paint bucket, and we want that to go above that. Okay. So that color I used for the shadow is 52, 45, and 37. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come in and just start cutting things out. Now the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hit up these areas that I didn't mask. Because those were oops, my bad moments. And I can see I kind of went outside of the line a little bit there, so I'm going to erase that out. Always make sure you're on your shadow layer. Anything that you might see mistake-wise that you need to fix. Switching back to my hard round. So that we're zoomed in kind of close on some of these spots that are more noticeable. We want to kind of fix and fill those in. Alright, switch back to our shadow. Alright, now this is where we can start cutting into. So my light source is fading, but we're going to come in here and we're going to get lower happening here. Yeah, definitely want to fix that first on the skin. Obviously, if you don't have these problems, you don't have to worry about it. I'm going to use my eraser tool. Okay, and I'm going to kind of cut in on places. So like I'm going to start from here. Show how much is being exposed. Let's see if I kick this up to 70. Yeah, it's a little better. Lose 70% on the shadow. And I'm just kind of cutting out the areas where the sun is shining. And if I need to bring something back, right, so I can turn this up 100%, click on it, and just drop the percentage back down to make sure I have that consistency. I'm going to kind of shave out a piece of the eyeball here, just kind of make this triangle shape. Right. I'm going to see this whole side of the eye here. I'm going to take out this mustache area, beard. And now as I come up to the nose, I'm going to have a little bit of some shadow there. And actually I'm just going to take the eyes out completely just so that it looks good. Let's take this forehead something else I'm missing. Switch to black. So I meant to put eyelid shape in there. So that way I can come in here and cut out what I need. So you can see, we zoom back out, now the face is exposed to the light a little bit. Now, this color that I have in here is a little too on the brown, so we need to come down just a little bit more and drop that to 70. Well, let me show you the color first. We're going to drop that 35, 32, 27. We'll drop that back down to 70. That way it stands out on the beard and mustache a little bit more. So like now I can come back and fill that in where it should be, and I can see spots that I'm missing. Okay, so now let's get the hair. I'm going to subtract those out by erasing. And to an extent right here. Okay. See, I left a little bit of an edge right there. Again, right here on the head. And then how we kind of have the forehead cut. I'm doing the same thing. Pull that back in. And we can start cutting into this part here. A little bit of shadow from the hair, so I'm going to leave that spot right here with a shadow. Okay. Now same thing here, I want to kind of address my neck the same way. Let's kind of let's see what that looks like. There we go. Alright, now we want to kind of, so this is going to be tricky, so we want this obviously exposed. Okay. Now I want to do a thin layer up here at the top. Where we keep that back edge with a shadow. Let's see what that looks like. There we go, that looks good. Okay, now you would think, well, this whole left side fur is just going to be exposed. Well, we actually don't want to do that. Let's come in. I'm just going to kind of shape it up like this. some shadow in there and see what that looks like. Drop down in here. See what that looks like. Should be good for now. We can always make adjustments later. Now down in here where we have that kind of hair is overhanging, right? So you can see I'm kind of following the curve of that black line. And we're just exposing the light. And again, this is a reason that I do it this way, is it helps me kind of see how the light is falling as I erase it out, and gives me a better understanding of if I'm going to like it that way. Again, I'm not ever claiming to be an expert, but I do try to just play around and get better at certain things. So I kind of bring this back right here in this fold. And again, it's just my opinion. I feel like it helps me see it a lot better. Okay. So we're going to keep working our way down. Completely expose the chest here, but we're going to kind of come back. Now the other thing that's looking funny, that I don't know why I missed it, but we do need to change the color on the skin for where little areolas are. Bring that down in the red. Make it a little darker. So we need to color that in. For both of them, I'm going to go darker still. There we go. And now I want to make sure I go back to my shadow. Turn that up to 100% so I can get that color back. Switch it back to 70. And we can get a little bit of roundness there. Okay, but the purpose of that was to kind of show the roundness of the chest. I want to kind of match that up to what's being exposed on the face. And make a smooth transition to the upper chest. And again, we have some overlapping areas, so we're going to have that little bit of an overhang. And as you can see, I'm adjusting the brush sizes as I go to fit whatever scenario I need. If I need to squeeze into something, I need to make it smaller. So So we can come back, see what that looks like. Maybe need to bring back the chest a little bit. Right down here. See what that looks like. That's a little better. Okay. Now let's do the rest. Get our abs in here. And just take your time. Again, yours doesn't have to turn out exactly like mine. Maybe you want it to be a little darker and you want less shadow exposed. That's completely up to you. But if you just want to follow along verbatim, there's nothing wrong with that either. So, again, it's your choice. And we probably need to bring this back like that. And maybe cut into it a little bit. And we'll draw down that side there. And then this whole side. Like that. Okay. Let's come over here to the finger. And we'll go ahead and expose that. And we'll get the side of the stone that's facing the sun. Okay, and again, I want to kind of leave some in the shadows like that last one. I won't do that. Let's come down here. And we'll do the same thing. Just kind of go through and cut out the areas that we have some sunlight on. Now with this, I want to kind of leave it more towards the edge. And just erase that out. So let's see how that looks. We may fill in that pinky. Yeah, so let's take this back out. And we'll do just a little bit right there on the top. Okay. And we're going to come in here. And we'll leave a little space for the stones. Just erase that out. So like I said, this is just for simple cell shading. It's not for anything super high-tech advanced blending of colors and stuff like that. It's just cell shading at its most simple. Okay. So again, you can see how we're slowly exposing the light in our image. make sure. Let's start from here. And come out that way. And then we'll bring our shadow back right down that edge. And again, just try to get something similar. It doesn't have to be perfect. And like there's some people who like they'll leave that shadow on there and then they'll just go in and paint a color. Like I can come in and just use this kind of in between color here and just paint up the edge, and it's just the color of the shadow. You want to, you know, see what that would look like. So like I could do that, get kind of like this in between color, and they would like just come in here. Right, and just color it like that. Okay, maybe even come in and turn it into an overlay, um, or a hard light even, or vivid light. Um, you can, I mean, you could do it that way if you wanted to. Um, so like for example, the spots I've already erased, like I could come in here and just hit those up like that, and the whole image would just have that highlight in there. And you just do the same, kind of thing. I'm just saying that that's just a way to do it. I am not going that route, even though it can look cool in this particular instance. I'm just trying to keep it simple for you. Alright, so I want to make sure I get that color back though. Go back to 70. So we can kind of come in here. And just erase out. Right, again, just showing the highlight or the light that we are getting. Okay. So let's do the shoulder now. So we have this much exposed, so I'm gonna kinda keep things a little close. Again, any spots I might mess up on, I can just fill back in with the paintbrush. Okay, so like right here, expose just a little bit. And the same thing here. And we can take this kind of rounded part and also extend out our hair right there. Let's see what that looks like. It's pretty good. It's decent. Again, we're not going for perfection here. Going for learning for you, the viewer. And then you just kind of practice from there to be able to get more detail in your work. Okay. Now, let's continue moving up. So we want to have a little bit of exposure here. Okay. And then the same thing here. We're going to get a little bit of exposure to about right here. And then I forgot, got these straps in here. Excuse me, sorry. A little phlegmy today. So yeah, you just start seeing how this cuts out. It makes your life a heck of a lot easier when going through trying to decide your shadows. Again, that's just a personal choice on mine. You can do like this, and you can paint in your shadows if you want to. I just found that it just makes it easier, like I said, to come in and just cut them out myself. So once we get back to certain areas, we're getting back on the side now where not much is exposed. We're just going to hit up these like outside edges. So you can almost think of it like it's a spot for your rim lighting that you can put in. Okay. So again, if we just look at that, it's more exposed now. Let's come in here, and we need to get a portion of the hair here. Again, just a portion. And I'm going to get like the top of the earlobe. Just have a little bit of that exposed. I'm going to come back. I'm just going to hit these edges here. not that noticeable at the moment. But it at least gives us, a little bit of depth in there for that. Same thing back here. We can probably get a little bit of a rim light. Back here on this side. Okay, we're just doing a little bit of a rim light back here. Okay. Now let's do this side of the arm. And again, the reason why we take away more on this side is just because in this instance I'm having the light break a lot more on that side of the body. So we're just going to see more of it. And that takes care of that. Okay. So you can see it's starting to come alive a little bit, but you can also see just how it takes time. And again, I'm going to keep repeating myself on the not being an expert part. Because I'm sure there are much faster ways to do this, and you could probably find somebody who teaches it a better way, and that's fine. It won't hurt my feelings. You could even just leave a suggestion down the thing, like, hey, I found so and so, and he did it this way, and it was like way faster. Man, that's what we should do here in our community, is help each other, not save and hold things behind a paywall. Help each other for free. I understand people need to make a living, but at the end of the day, things just, the way the economy and stuff is, it's just kind of hard to spend money, you know. So that's why I don't mind doing this for free with y'all. It does not bother me at all. I just appreciate feedback. That's really the only payment I ask for, is what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What would you like to see more of? What would you like to see less of? It's like, I had somebody request an animation thing, and it's just finding the time to do it. I'm going to do it. I have some old ones if you actually go back to the channel on the basic, but I thought I'd do like a revamped version of the ones that I did. And I kind of feel bad just because animation takes time. You're talking about frame by frame drawing stuff and things like that. So yeah, I do take requests, but within reason is how fast I can actually get to them. just because, like I said, animation takes time. I also have these comic books and things I'm trying to get done and work on. This was kind of presented to me more as a challenge, and they're also a friend, so I wanted to help out. And I have no problem making videos. Like sometimes the things you might request for might coincide with what it is I'm working on anyway, so I can easily incorporate that in there. But that's just the way it goes. Again, that's why I'm not. It's just more of a hobby channel and teaching things, and I go live every once in a blue moon. Just to get people to talk to, chat with. Like even that, like if you'd like me to go live, just let me know. Good date, time. I don't care if it's just one of y'all. And I'll try my best to accommodate that. Again, as long as I'm able to, continue to do work. I think I like that better that way. Okay, let's turn up this edge. See what that looks like there. So yeah, that's basically all I'm doing. I'm just going through and cutting. Now when we do the doing the part with people takes more time. But it's the rest of it's not so bad because it's just the environment stuff, so it's a lot easier to cut into because they're a lot broader shapes. And some of you might be wondering, why am I cutting the shadow out on the bottom and not having it that way, and that's because the way the light is hitting it, the shadows are going to still fall that way. So like for sure the blade edges I'm going to open up because they're supposed to be bright anyway. But like the rest of it here, we can open up. And in here, so we have that done. Now let's come into here. Let's kind of break out this plaid kilt a little bit. Alright, let's see what that looks like. A little bit of that, because I have that hand out, trying to expose parts that need to be. So basically we're just kind of playing around right now. And extending that out. Right there. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so that looks good. That does our basic shadows, except I'm going to put a shadow for the eyes in here. Just the top half. Okay, and then we can now move on to the rocks, water, and we should be close to being done. We can move down now. Go to our rocks layer and just do the same thing. We'll say shadows. And again, I can just hold Command or Shift or Control PC, and we can just mask that out. And now I still have my color selected, so if you don't, go back up to your other shadow layer. I can just fill that in. And I can come in here and start getting those areas that are exposed to the light. I'm going to make sure we turn that down 70%. So I'm essentially just getting the spots that are, facing the top more. That way it gives us some shape and definition. Again, because my character is blocking most of the scene, I don't have to worry too much about cutting into everything that's on it. So let's kind of cut in these top spots here. This side is kind of facing the light, so we're going to kind of cut into that. Much bigger areas exposed right in here, as well as look at this rock face here. Again, I always like to pull back every now and then to see how things are looking. Again, you don't have to hit up the exact same spots I'm doing. Just depends on where you're wanting to do your shadows. So again, I'm just kind of hitting up these flat facing sides. Let's do that back. Cut it right here. And we're almost done with these rocks. Again, just going to kind of continue to work my way through. Erased a little too far right there. Let's see what that looks like. That's pretty good. So we'll just leave that like that. Alright, now, as far as the water goes, we're going to test it. Okay, so I'm going to put a shadow above that gradient layer. Okay, I'm going to hit shadows. I'm going to hold command and pick that mask. I'm going to mask it out. And again, just kind of fill that in. And we'll do 70. And let's do a little erasing. This whole outside area we're just going to keep white. And I'm just going to kind of take that down into the blue. And then maybe we'll drop that down to 35. Hold that like that. Okay. So now we're going to do highlights. So, but we're just going to do it on the character. So I'm going to come back up here to the shadows layer, and I'm going to come up and I'm going to say highlights. Now you can go above the line layer if you want to go over the lines and just make it solid. I don't want to blow out the lines too much, but I am going to come in and make a new thing. So I'm going to come in again. I'm going to kind of pick that lightest yellow. I'm going to come in on this side here. Now you could use what you call it, the lasso tool, and you could pick these areas that way. As you can see, as I come out, we're getting ourselves let's make it a little bit bigger. See what that looks like. We're giving ourselves a highlight from the sun. Alright, so if I back out, you can see now I have that kind of view, but I want to, let's see what it would look like if we match a little bit. So that color is 251, 228, and 145. Okay, so I'm just going to go through and we're going to highlight. On the body, and again, like I said, you can see I like to pull out of being zoomed in just so I can see what they look like. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah. So I'm going to stick with that. Okay, and then we'll just kind of come through and build these highlight shapes up. Now granted, a lot of stuff's not very reflective, like the fur and stuff is not super reflective, but you know, we want to keep, again, that consistency. Throughout the image. Don't want to mess with that shadow right there. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, let's come up in here. Some highlights on the trident edge. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. Come in here. And there. Let's just kind of work on our chest. We'll see what that looks like. If you kind of bleed over into certain areas like your shadows, you just take your eraser and I got it. You're like, why did we spend all that time on the tattoos just to cover them up? Oh, that's just part of life. That way they're still there in case you want to make any adjustments or change anything. So, yeah, that. Let's see, let's do another portion of the chest here. And see what that looks like. Like, I know when you're coloring in from up close, it may seem like it's a little bold. But that's why you always back out and look at what you have. We're using a lot more, hard lines than soft. But you can always soften those out. You could use a soft brush if you wanted to. That wouldn't be so intense. You can also come in and make adjustments to your layer. You can see that kind of gives us a little bit more color variation on there. So that's actually something we can go with. And that way when you're coloring other things, it's not completely yellow. But again, that's an aesthetic choice. If you like that yellow and how it was looking, by all means, keep it. We're just going to continue to go through and add these highlights on there. Let's come back down to our fingers. And again, it's all just trial and error. That's why we do things on separate layers. If you don't like how something looks, just do something else. Try something else. It's just not doing it for your personal taste or aesthetic. Don't give up, quit, and get frustrated. Try something else. See if you can find something eventually that'll help you reach the final result that you're looking for. Okay, and again, always remember to back out. See where you're at, what you got. So that was more for those of you who were like, it's drowning out all those tattoos I just drew. That's the whole point of switching it to what I did on the overlay. That way you can still see all that hard work that you put into them. So there's always an option. Let's see, let's go in here. And we'll put one more right inside of here. And we are getting closer and closer to being finished. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's do our fur and edge in here, as well as the hair. Again, it's just more of an edge highlight. Certain areas need to be bigger than others, but like since this is a little bit smaller, we don't need to hit up that much. It can just be the edge. I'm going to leave this back edge alone. You'll see why. Let's hit these highlights up in the hair. Again, we can see what that looks like. Sometimes I get a little leery when I get to this part on the face, just because I can never decide whether I actually like the highlights on the face or not, so that's why I'm kind of skipping it for right now. So we're just kind of going around, getting to a point. I'll show you why in a minute. So like for ours, like the nose, we'd put like a tiny highlight there, but the part that always gets me is when you do stuff like here on the beard. You'll see in a second. So like when I pull back and look at the beard, just something about it just always just seems off. to me, and that's just me. So, guess I'm kind of doing it to myself. So let's see what that looks like. And it's not that bad. Because it's one of those things where it messes with my head. It's like when I know it's accurate, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of it. But again, it's just me, personal thing. All right, let's get down here, back into this bottom hand. Just like that might be a bit too much, so let's just stop it here. See what that looks like. Yeah, it's a good choice. Alright, same thing here. And let's hit a highlight right here. And we'll get this going across the top. Need to erase that back some. Okay, that looks good. Now, see like these spots here, like I can drop down to the shadow and clear those out. If it's not what that is, then I can just come down to the color and fill it in. Because that's what it looks like, because I just kind of didn't fill it in all the way. And then I can just come back to my highlights and switch it back to normal. Pick my color back and go back to overlay. And I can continue where I'm at. So you can see in like a big broader area like this, I took up a lot more space with the highlight, just so it doesn't look so subtle. Get that edge of the blade, as well as the inside portion. Okay, so now I need to hit up just a little bit here. Alright, so that takes care of all of those highlights. Now we're going to do this here. I'm going to take this kind of red orange color, come back here. I'm going to do my rim lighting. On this side. Now the reason why it's easier to just do it separate like this anyway is if I don't like it, all I gotta do is erase it. So this rim light that I'm using is essentially just the darker portion of the sky. So you can see when I back off, it kind of goes with it, right? So let's take the same deal on this back side. That's why I didn't touch this area facing this way. I can take my eraser and get those parts that are kind of touching the shadow and standing out a little bit. So you can see how I got that back rim. Do the same thing up here. I'm not doing it as heavy. That way it's a little bit more subtle and doesn't drown it out. Okay. So, something else you can do, again, if you want to, you don't have to, but you can take here's this. I think that's that layer I was playing around with, but we'll just use that. You can mask that, right? And you can come in here and if you want, again, if you want to, you can play with gradients to help too, if you want to. Alright, so I could take that out. Let's see, command. Let's mask that off. Actually, let's take that. We just normalized it. Command. Mask that off. Okay, that's not working for some weird reason. Okay. Get our sunset back. There we go. Okay. So again, you can do things like turn the opacity down. Yeah, and give you more of that color in there. You can leave that at 100% and just kind of go through. Check out your different things that you want to use. So like, let's say I want to use this overlay, and then I drop the opacity down to 30. Right. So you can see how it'll kind of enhance that scene that way. Alright, so I could take the same thing, add a new layer here, add a mask. And do the same thing here. Down, do an overlay. And I can't remember what percentage we used. 30, so let's drop that down to 30. And again, it kind of just can help convey the lighting that's in the scene. You could also just use it for the background. It's completely up to you. If you like it this way, you want to add a little bit to it, but maybe take it down more, you can do that too. Okay, completely up to you. Now something else I'm gonna do, is with this water. Okay, so I want to kind of give the illusion that it's moving. So I can go here to filter, and go to blur, and go to motion blur. Now it's going to be super zoomed in when you start, so just zoom out so you can see it. Alright, but you want to turn the direction, and you can see it adjusting. And it'll look like it's giving it a little bit of movement. Okay. Now right now it may not look like much, but you do want to make sure that you go in to your shadows, and it should be saved. So you just click on filter and click motion blur at the top. It'll do it for that. And then you can go down to your gradient, excuse me, and do the same thing, and it will filter it in that way. Okay. One last thing I'm gonna do, again, depends on what Aquaman logo you chose to go with. I'm gonna raise this up to right here, and let's see if we put a drop shadow on it. Let's do black. Turn the opacity down. Change the angle. So we'll just leave it there. Can't think of really too much else to add in there. So that's gonna do it. So those of you that stuck around for the entire thing, I appreciate it. If you want to see more and you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Go back through some of the old videos. I might have covered some stuff that you're interested in. If not, leave me a comment and let me know what you want to learn. Other than that, thank you so much for stopping by. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright? Bye.